Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Atsuka here, bringing to you another video for Conqueror's Blade published by Porus Interactive. And we have our season maintenance notice and the season update. So, I'll just go over these two articles really quickly. And I know they're kind of late, but they released them fairly late, so hopefully, um, well, yeah, hopefully, these are still relevant for you, but nevertheless, going straight into it. We have the season maintenance going from midnight all the way to 1500, otherwise 3 p.m. on September 19th. UTC plus 8. We get a total of 35,000 bronze coins, 1500 honor, and 75 unit medals as compensation. We have the event rotation. So we have some events. Rotation of the antique tire chest and the new arrival in attire exchange. So the Eternal season antique attire will be available in the antique attire chest, and Helheim season antique uh, attires will be removed. Antique Centurion, antique Gladiator Champion, and uh, the Equix attire set sealed will be available in G attire exchange after maintenance. Time it goes from 19th of September after maintenance. So after maintenance. So it just keeps going until after maintenance, and then it goes into next new season maintenance. So that's a bit confusing. So it means that not not this season that was coming, but the season after Lionfire. So hilarious. So we got the reset of Doctrine Spirit purchase limit and the new addition in the eclectic Doctrine section. Wow, I've never seen that before. The purchase limit for the Doctrine uh, Leadership Doctrine has been reset with a maximum exchange of a 1 quality and new doctrines in the Electric Selection. Yeah, Nocta. Come on that way. Ah, yeah. The Doctrine Selection. Wow, that, like, again, that word, I have no idea. No, 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 no. Shh. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, so we got the trench warfare doctrine and the devastation doctrine being added into those things. So we got so again, the trench warfare one not very good. It just makes the Aquabus unit when they don't move for 10 seconds, they get a they get a buff, which is defensive works, and yeah, it's just I'll just read it. When the Aquasia unit are not under the move command, they will gain defensive works after 10 seconds. Defensive works cannot be stacked. Non-move commands will reset the timer, but will not remove defensive works. Any move commands will remove defensive works. Defensive works when receiving long-range damage from enemy units. 70% of the damage will be converted into knockback effect, and defensive works will be lost. If the units are not under the move command, they will regain defensive works after 10 seconds. And you have the Devastation 1. Normal attacks can trigger a heavy attack with high penetration and knockdown effect after 6, sorry, not after, every 6 seconds. The heavy attack applies devastation to the target unit, reducing their piercing, slashing, and blunt defenses by 12% and movement speed by 10% for 12 seconds, up to maximum of 3 stacks. Um, this one's okay. Devastation one's pretty good on the Iron Reaper ones if you use the flail, but realistically, I don't think anyone. I don't think many of the other ones are that good. The Spahis used to be pretty good with them because they used to be able to trigger normal attacks in between their jumps. They can use it during their charge, but nowadays you don't use their regular charge. You just go straight into the leap, and obviously the coup de paid is very, very high attack rate right now. Zeregs, you don't normally use their normal attack. You most likely just probably use their charge, but it's pretty fun because you run them into things and they'll just slap something really hard. Obviously, if you're in for the memes, you could always put it on the Matadores, still called that, I'm pretty sure, or the Matadores, um, the Matadores. That is that is a pretty effective doctrine. They only use their basic attack and buffing their basic attack base, and especially since it gives them the knockdown effect, it's actually really hilarious on them. So yeah, the trench warfare one, not very good. The knockback effect for 70% damage reduction, and again the setup is too too aggressive, like not too long. 10 seconds. Honestly, it should probably for how it works, it should be accumulating. So I honestly think that like it should come in like a few stages. I don't know. Overall, this doctrine is just not usable. Just not usable at all. I don't think any of the units would want to use that. Not to mention, it's only one hit. You get hit, it resets. Okay, so how to acquire the Daybreak Doctrine selection box? That's way better. What is this name? I don't understand. Just call it the Doctrine selection box. The Daybreak Doctrine selection box is a great name. Tells you exactly what it is, tell you exactly what you need to get. So reaching level 100 of the free season pass of the current season will grant you a Daybreak Seal. Completing the fifth stage of the seasonal 5-star unit challenge of the current season will grant you a Daybreak Seal. Goes from 19th of September after maintenance to next new season maintenance. Number 3, Attire Treasure Rotation. Eternal Nights and Shadow Light returns for a limited time. So the Eternal Knights and the Shadow Knights attire treasure opens, legendary mount attire Eternum, yeah, and legendary hero attire Polar Owl returns for a limited time. So it goes from 19th of September after maintenance to 29th before maintenance. Wow, that's really awkward. Yeah, that's a really awkward time frame. So something's happening on the 30th by the sounds of it. So there's that. Um, Polar Owl. This one's the owl one. I didn't realize it was called the Polar Owl set. This is probably just because they're changing the names, which is really annoying. But regardless, um, we have New Warfare Pack Challenge Pack, so the handpick Eastern Season Unit Pack. So we got including the Nim. I've never seen this translation, or I've never been seen them called that. The Nimkin, the Nimkin Archer tokens. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to say Namcans Archer tokens. We got the Crescent Monk tokens, the Onamusha tokens, handpicked Western season unit pack, including the Janissary token, Berserker's summoning tokens. I don't know why they call it summoning, and the Marialones tokens. So it goes from 19th of September after maintenance to the 11th of October. Very long time. That gives you 4 weeks. Accumulative top-up reward event now live. To show gratitude to your continued support, we will introduce a historical top-up bonus event in the event based on the historical top-up amount of sovereign on your character. You will receive rewards of different stage. Please check the details. Please check the details and claim your rewards in O Rewards. So that's an interesting one. So depending on how much you topped up over the years, it will reward you based on that. But regardless, heading on to the actual season update, which is really probably what everyone's looking for. We got the new season units, Tier 3 Ratia Pistoliers. So, background story, during the brutal 30 Years' War, the Gunpowder Revolution took root knights from the Rhineland region, shed their heavy armor, retaining only essential defenses, abandoning their lancers in favor of matchlock guns for combat, employing a stately caracal tactic. They relied more on firearms than charges. However, Gustav II Adolf took a different approach. He instructed his Rhineland cuirassiers to forsake the tactic and the cumbersome long musket, opting instead to engage fiercely with short ones at close range before unsheathing their swords to charge. Again, cuirassiers would never have used long muskets, especially on horseback, because it is impossible to reload. Um, they would have always used a carbine type or a shorter musket. Otherwise, the pistol was definitely the most common on horseback, especially during the early periods. But yeah, um, opting instead to engage fearlessly with short ones at close range before unsheathing their swords to charge. The cuirassiers of uh, Ralmor do not open fire until they see the whites of their enemy's eye. Again, that's that's sort of true, but I mean, it doesn't work very well when you have two shots, and they don't shoot both of the. That's to do with the unit itself, so don't worry about that. Such were the words of the general who witnessed firsthand these cuirassiers fighting at point blank range, then drawing their cavalry swords to ruthlessly cut down their mechanical mechanically advancing enemy who adhered to the caracal tactic amidst the chaos of war, where the desperate seek life. This unit seemed to resurrect the fearless charging stance on the battlefield a century after the fully armored knights had succumbed to gunpowder defeat. Although the Cuirassiers is few in numbers, they are well equipped. Each soldier is armed with a pair of improved short muskets. They're literally called pistoliers. Just call them pistols. I don't understand this. Why short muskets? Because they're not equipped with the short musket, which is normally referred to as the carbine. And a knight's sword. Well, that's not true either. Uh, with a cavalry. They're equipped with a they're equipped with a sword that is definitely not an arming sword. With armor that does not hinder shooting or close combat for protection. Again, they're called cuirassiers because they only wear because they're the only ones that wear armor at the period of time, and it's literally just the chest plate. Well, they could include other things like the helmet and stuff, but it's mostly focused on the chest plate. Different from conventional heavy cavalry and dragoon musketeers. Again, something that we don't actually have. Sorry, I skipped a section. As a mainstay of the Gustavian military reform, the cuirassiers differ from conventional heavy cavalry and dragoon musketeers. I mean, sure, they use their pistols, but heavy cavalry in this case is like referring to old dragoon musketeers. Again, something we actually don't have, so we don't actually know the reference we don't actually know the reference for this. But again, it's just lighter cavalry that uses the carbine, even though these cuirassiers technically supposed to also function both as a dragoon musketeer but also as a heavy cavalry. But That's besides the point. They utilize their mobility and advanced pistols. Yeah, see, pistols. Why? Yeah, they utilize their mobility and advanced pistols to harass enemy formations, swiftly piercing through enemy lines like lightning at the opportune moment, unleashing specialized bullets and expert swordsmanship on their foes. Much like a lion tearing to its prey, they instill fear and dread in the enemy's rank. Carrying a pair of the unit traits, carrying a pair of improved pistols, they can freely and flexibly shoot and use special bullets to deal burst damage. Yeah, tell me about that burst damage. That thing hits so hard. Like, the special bullets basically hits up to like 4 or 5 units. I haven't seen the actual, haven't actually calculated the actual hit limit, but yeah, 18 of them running over to you and shooting a bullet that hits up to 5 people, dealing 3,000 damage. Um, they can drop half your unit, and in 4 seconds, they can drop the other half of your unit. Like, it's no joke how much damage that is. In fact, I mean, the raw damage amount should actually kill, yeah, no, half your unit. It's actually ridiculous how much damage that thing deals. If they shoot you from behind, your whole unit's dead. Close range shooting can be highly destructive and has a controlling effect on target unit. Yeah, because not only do they have a block break effect, they also have a knockdown effect, which is it's actually retarded how strong Aurora powder is, and I think I've shown you it. But it's actually kind of sad comparing it to the Tearing Strike, which is absolutely garbage. Aurora powder might have some limitations, but it's way too powerful. You're more likely you're just going to just use raw powder, use tearing strikes if you have to, and then just run away. You could probably use tearing strikes for flanks and stuff on against certain units, but you would never use it against anything with shield. That's the first thing I noticed, because it has such a low block break that it's basically ineffective. No, I'm reading something. Go. Um. Anyway, the skill design is skill 1, raw powder. Utilize special bullets to shoot a powerful round at the target. It will hit multiple targets. It says at the target, so I mean it only aims one person, but it'll hit several people. Skill 2, Tearing Strike. Utilize the Knight Swords with several fierce thrusts at close range. Again, the thrusts themselves are not very powerful, but they'll definitely kick up a fuss. Kick up a fuss because the thrust comes in pretty fast. Then we have the tier 4 Swine Feather. Um, so these are the musketeers with the spears. In the long years of war, if one were to ask which kind of people were most common, the answer would undoubtedly be the mercenaries who traverse between various factions. These seasoned arquebusiers never fought for honor. Rather, they viewed chaos as a ladder, aiming to seize and miss fame in the midst of conflict. The northern nation, with its small territories and with population fewer than the Rhineland state, found itself in greater need of their strength to partake in this grand war. Interesting, these fickle mercenaries ended up staying within the army of the Northern Lion, even becoming the backbone of the military. In their own words, we can smell victory here. Gustav's second Altdorf devised a new tactic for these experienced veterans, utilizing rapid maneuvers and shooting. Their great gunpowder can overwhelm their their great gunpowder can overwhelm enemies many times their numbers. When cavalry charged like a turret, they would counter with their swine feather spear, sending the enemy straight to hell. These veterans, who had brushed shoulders with death countless times, were adept at handling any situation on the battlefield. You lads, stick with me. There may be plenty of kings in this world, but there only one who knows how to fight. Mercenary leader Muro. Monroe? Man, I'm gonna be butchering names and things the entire time. Battle tactics. battle tactic. They are composed of British mercenaries recruited by Sweden, capable of repelling enemies with portable anti-horse stakes and inflicting significant casualties on the enemy using modern volley fire techniques. The again, and it says I don't understand this because the volley fire technique has been around. It's just like been around. There's very few things you could say as modernizing the technique. Is realistically just the weapon itself being modernized, so the technique itself just be adapts to the new firearm. So again, like I don't understand this. Besides, it's saying that it's supposedly better than the volley fire of it's. I would suppose it is better. It is basically the an improved version of the volley fire from the Imperial Arquebusiers, but strictly speaking, the Imperial Arquebusiers still deal more damage than the Swine Feathers in their volley fire. But there is a caveat to this because they are actually very competitive in terms of damage, and if they had the same number of units, I think the Imperial Arquebusiers would see some serious competition when it comes to overall DPS. That's besides the point, though. They both have the volley fire technique. Both are really shit in their normal fire, but in terms of accuracy as well, the swine feathers is just way better. So I think there's going to be a big problem anyway with the Imperial Arquebusiers just being outclassed. But at the same time, um, Imperial Arquebusiers can be in volley fire nearly the entire time, while these guys have like a 50-second cooldown. No way to reduce it at the current time, so it only goes down to like 47 seconds. So there's a huge gap of like more than 40 seconds, basically. I say more than 40 seconds. It's like more, base is 8, goes down to 11, so it'll be like 36. They maintain strict military discipline, possess exquisite skills, and fully utilize the Gustavian formation tactic of firing in lines. No, they don't, actually. Now, this is the interesting thing that they say these things, but they don't implement these things. So they don't fire in lines, they fire as a single unit in their volley fire thing. And even in their stationary fire thing, they don't fire in lines either. So I'm not sure what they're referring to here when they say this, because it's just not what's represented in game. The portable pigtail gun stock they carry provides significant assistance for their precise shooting. Moreover, when they insert the gun stock into the ground, forming various shaped anti horse stakes, the strategic value is self-evident, forcing would-be aggressors to disarm and surrender. Having relatively short attack range, but relatively short attack range. I like how they state that it's not relatively short, especially if you go bottom line. But powerful burst damage. That's also that's also sort of true, but it's not. They like they reduce the penetration damage, but they still have pretty high single target damage. So this is the confusing part. It's just like their burst damage is actually not high enough in their normal state, and they gain both increased attack speed and damage when they're in their volley fire. So it's strictly speaking, they actually fire fairly fast, and their damage, well, all of their damage comes in all at once. So it's really difficult. It's really difficult to agree with this because the time frame for their burst is just not long enough to equate to a powerful burst, and um, it's too short and it's not powerful enough to say at the very least. So it could be a powerful burst damage. in their eyes, I don't think it's strong enough in terms of burst damage, and I definitely think the time frame between shots is a little bit short. Strict military discipline and exquisite steel. Having a gunstock provides higher accuracy, but when the gunstock is inserted into the ground, it generates cheval de frisque. I'm pretty sure someone who speaks Swedish can tell me that I'm saying it wrong. Sufficient to deter enemies. I like that they have higher accuracy while the gunstock is while they have the gunstock, and again, when it's inserted into the ground, it generates crystals, but it doesn't mention if they lose this higher accuracy when the gunstock is used. And again, I'm not into testing accuracy. Accuracy is just absolutely impossible to actually calculate really, if I, unless I really had collected a lot of data. And honestly, I just cannot be bothered. Skill 1, attack area, continuous shooting into a designated area. Skill 2, triple shooting, 6-column formation, instantly transforms into 3 columns, then opens fire simultaneously, providing powerful firepower suppression to the target area. Yeah, that's a really nice description. You have to use the 6-column formation and instantly transforms into the 3 columns. So it's a more narrow formation and it's a denser formation and it's really fast to form up. Unlike the volley fire one, which takes a little bit to form up, the this triple shooting one is also a box formation. So it's a nice, neat box formation and lined up perfectly. If units are killed, they also move forward, which is actually really amazing. That they adapt the formation, unlike the volley fire one, where if units are killed, if your entire front line is killed, there's no front line fire, so boom, so you get 2 lines of fire. The one thing that I The one thing that is also really important is that they open fire simultaneously. Unlike the volley fire one from the Imperial Arquebusiers, who fire line by line, these guys fire all at once, which is really cool. And I much preferred it when they actually had them fire all at once. Instead, they've now changed it where there's a little bit of a delay between all of them, so they won't fire absolutely simultaneously, but pretty close to almost simultaneously. They added variation because maybe they thought it was too robotic and too mechanical for the shots, which I think which I think shouldn't have happened until after the first shot. The first shot should always be the most impactful one and the most disciplined one. But regardless, providing powerful firepower suppression to the target area. Skill 3, Cheval de Frisque, insert the butt into the ground within a certain range to form a strong Cheval de Frisque. Yep, so we got the stakes and spikes, so they changed the name for that one. So, Tier 5 Lion Roar Crew. Background story. During the era of war, cannons were commonly used by all nations. However, among the military leaders, it was only Gustav II Adolf who saw cannons as the core of revolutionizing warfare in that age. He handpicked the best of his country's officers and formed a dedicated artillery unit. The establishment of an independent artillery unit was an unprecedented initiative. During that time, military commanders of various countries often viewed cannons as cumbersome, heavy artillery which lacked mobility. However, the king believed that by modifying the cannon themselves to overcome the mobility issues, cannons would become the decisive weapon of the next era's battlefield. He shortened the cannon's barrel, lightened the carriages, and standardized the production of cannon parts. Consequently, the northern nations' artillery units can could deploy and move cannons at any time and place. The excellent battlefield judgment and combat determination of artillery officers also made this unit a undefeatable force in Western Wales of that time. Those who surpass are always blessed by the era. This unit, along with their king, became legends of that era, with their cannons fire described by poets as the roar of a lion shaking their enemies. Again, I'm not sure about history, but yeah, could have been something about that evolution. Battle tactics. After setting up the artillery at the appropriate locations, push it to the front line while using the pistols to guard against enemy sneak attacks. Pour high density shotgun shells at the enemy. Okay, that's a really. I don't particularly like the pistol shots. They're not particularly very strong, especially if you don't use the doctrine. And the high density shotgun shell, very good, very good uh, description, but it's not cold. It's not cold shotgun shells. It's cold grape shot. Um, I don't know why they would use this localization when it it it, it is a grape shot. It is a grape shot. It's not a. It's not like a shotgun. A shotgun shell would assume that they have bullets. Would assume it's a kind of like a bullet construction. When realistically, it's still a construction. It's still like a old style construction where it doesn't use an actual shell. So yeah, that's uh that's definitely incorrect. Unit trait sets up a powerful cannon with 15 soldiers divided into three artillery teams launching. Again, it says it's 15 divided into three artillery teams, when realistically you only three of them are on the artillery. The rest of them just sits in the back. So, oh no, wait, only two of them are on the artillery. That means nine of them. No, that means yeah, nine of them are sitting in the back line, just doing nothing. Launching dense and numerous shotgun shells to saturate the enemy firepower. Enemy with firepower. They could have designed it so that there were five of them. And again, like artillery teams were normally five because you would have the officer, you would have a loader, um, you would have like someone with the cannonball, someone with the stick, and then you had the back, and then you had the back, then you had someone in the back with the light. And I'm not sure what the last guy did, but there were normally two guys in the back, two guys in the front, and the officer overwatching all of them. Or maybe it was a fire team of four. I don't remember. Can't remember what each. I kind of forget what each of them do. So we have skill design. Skill one: set up artillery. Set up the artillery at the designated location. Move artillery. Move the artillery to the designated location. Um, So skill one is the same thing, but it changes its function when it's not on artillery. When it is on the artillery, it changes. There's no visual change for the thing, so this is just kind this is it. So this is kind of the thing where it's just like it doesn't show properly. So skill two, attack area, immediately fires at the designated area. When it says immediately fire, there is an internal cooldown to stop it from people from using this. But yes, not only is this attack area really cool, the cannons actually follow the direction that you're facing, ready to fire. So it's really cool that way, but it's also really devastating how strong this unit is. And I'm really, really concerned that it's not nerfed in a fashion that would actually make it balanced. Right now, it does way too much damage because it can cave in an entire unit. I can do that every 10 seconds. And that's just only with the default. 10 seconds is not a long time. Not even cavalry can cover the distance that they can cover um, before they get a second shot. And in most cases, I'm pretty sure that the first shot would kill more than half of the cavalry unit, and the second shot would definitely kill the rest of it at a very far distance as well. We're talking maximum 130, even though it says the range is only 80. That only describes their optimal range, meaning anything past 80, they'll do their minimum damage, but that's only half, which is really hilarious because half is still enough to almost wipe out an entire unit. Continuing on, we also have defensive shooting. Shoot the nearest enemy with a pistol. Defensive shooting is completely garbage, mostly because of the long cooldown and also the strong delay. Um, they don't fire instantly. They take a second to do the animation and then fire. Not to mention, there's actually a hard internal cooldown for defensive shooting that even with the doctrine, you can't spam that because they lock up so hard, which is really irritating as well. So I don't like defensive shooting. It's just not very great, and also it's a spam skill. I don't like spam skills because it's just not very good. If I wanted to spam something, let me just spam regular commands. Does it have to be a skill in this case? Unless there's like other functions for the buttons. You have simple, you have like it could make sense. It could make sense because it would cross over with the cannons. So you don't want to. Sometimes you want to just shoot instead of just shooting with the cannons. So it could be that. Besides, um, I like the idea of them being able to defend themselves. I just don't like how it's set up to be so poor, and also how limit just how terrible it feels to actually use. Defensive shooting is just not very good. Conqueror's Path. So we have the rank 0 Aurora's Glory. Then we have, which again, I've already gone over before. The ranked 100 Northern Lion. Again, I've already gone over this. So we have the seasonal store. Attires from the Nightfall season will be returning to the seasonal store for the duration of the Lion's Fire season. These will be available at a 20% Badges of Heroism discount. Antique Grey Cloak Zealot attire will now cost 2,000 instead of 2,500. Antique Order Grand Master attire will now cost 5,000 instead of 4,000. Antique Ritterbrother unit attire will now cost 2,500 instead of. I like how they increase the cost. Increase the cost. What have you done? The following items will have their badges of heroism cost reverted to their full price. So the antique shadow uh, Miraji attire will now cost 2,000 instead of. These are flipped. This one was accidentally flipped. So and I didn't even notice that this one as well was wrong as well. So these two needed to be flipped. These two needed to be flipped. All of these needed to be flipped. The following attire will no longer be available in the season store. The Wandering Swordsman attire, 100 Victories attire, Wolves Brave units, and the weapons from the Eternal Season. Weapon attire of the Eternal Season returns. Is that true? I think they skip. I think what they're supposed to say is put it here. So, weapons of the Eternal Seasons, not returns. They should put down that the Nightfall, so the weapon attires of the Nightfall season returns. Oh man! So that is all of the seasonal source stuff. World map update: Territory War Battlefield Mechanism Warrior King against the House. When the Liege participates in territory wars, all the warlords and units of the House battlefield on the battlefield will receive the Warrior King buff, which increases the damage dealt to enemy units by a certain percentage. If the Liege dies on the battlefield, all warriors and units of the house on the battlefield will lose the Warrior King buff and gain the Glory Revenge buff. The Glory Revenge buff increases damage by twice the original of the Warrior King buff and lasts for 30 seconds. The damage enhancement effect of Warrior King and Glory revenge buffs increases with the increase in house level, and the specific bonuses are as following. This is actually really cool and really good because this is season dependent. So Warriors King damage bonus level 1, 5%, 2, 6, 3, 7, 4, 8, 5, 8.5, 6 is 9, 7 is 9.5, 8 is 10, 9 is 10, 10 is 10. My goodness. And obviously the Glory Revenge bonus is increased by twice the amount. And it's not a insignificant bonus. 10% at max level, 5%, even at 5%. That is an amazing buff because everyone gets it. Everyone gets it, so that's really cool. When Liege enters the battlefield and dies in battle, there will be a broadcast information. The Liege of the house will be specially marked on the battlefield. That's hilarious. Against the Imperial Restorationists, when the commander of the Imperial Restorationists participates in the territorial battlefield, all warlords and units of the Imperial Restorationists in the battlefield gain the Warrior King's buff and increase damage to enemy units by 10%. Whoa, that is going to be really weird because you can have several different commanders of the Imperial Restorationists. So if they have several of them, does it stack, or is just one of them existing just good enough? But if any one of them dies, do they get both the Warrior King's one and the revenge bonus? So that could definitely create some shenanigans, which could be hilarious. Which because it would be a really good buff for the Imperial Restorationists to have several people reach the commander level and then have several commanders fight in the territorial war battlefield and have this Warrior King buff just applying just generally. They should also just call it something else. When the commanders of the Imperial Restorations die in the battlefield, all of the warlords and units of the guard in the battle of the guard in the battlefield lose the Warrior King's buff without triggering any other benefits. Ah, that's sad. There will be broadcast information when the commander of the Imperial Restoration enters the battlefield or dies in the battlefield. The commander of the Imperial Restoration will be marked specially in the battlefield. Okay. It says commander of the Imperial Restorationist. I really hope it is commanders, and it would be an increase against enemy troops by 10%, and it's stacking. That would be hilarious. Also, I would have lowered it to 5% if it's stacking, but if it's just 10% for any commander, that'd be fine. And says it doesn't trigger the glorious revenge thing. It's it's a it's a bit sad, but there's no shenanigans though. So it would just be like a one-time buff. Everyone gets the 10% increase as long as there's a commander on the field, which is okay. Resource rules during the Lionfire season. The reserves of all copper and iron mines in the Osaria region increased by 20%, and the extraction rate of copper and iron increased by 10%. The resource consumption for crafting all culverins and mortars have been reduced by 20%. Increase movement speed in the world map when carrying culverins and mortars. Culverins world map movement speed increased from 2.8 to 3.5. Mortars uh, world map movement speed increased from 2.8 to 3.5. So I understand the Culverin one because they actually have wheels. The mortar one actually makes no sense. They should have only increased the Culverin ones and not increased the mortars one. For for just for just the reason that like it makes no sense for the mortar itself to have an increased movement speed, considering that it, it has it doesn't have anything that changes with the mobility, and contextually, it just doesn't make sense. The Culverin itself, again, it is a more modern artillery. It also has the wheels. So, again, that's just my logic right there is just like, it makes no sense when you look at the mortar and then you look at the Culverin. Culverin, again, limited in firepower, limited in its ability, but very should be more flexible and faster. So there's that. So we have number 5, Conquer the World. World map Main region description. In the server with 3 regions open, the main region is the Borderland, that is Conqueror's cities. Ownership determined the title of the hegemon. In the server with 1 region open, the main region is Asteria, that is Mongolia's. Ownership determined the title of the hegemon. So we have stage 1, Heroes Rise Together. It goes from 19th of the ninth to 30th of the ninth. Available units is 3 stars and below. Equipment set attributes does not take effect. Additional attributes for equipment reforged does not take effect. Star rating of units in the auxiliary unit pool 3 stars and below. Uh, Auxiliary unit points is 6. Territorial wars, we got Lotus Ash Seas, Dragon Rise Island, Dragon Rock Creek, Sandstone Gorge, Crystal Sea, and Eagle Range. Warlords can fight in Osteria and Onverija. Ah, man. Someone's gonna tell me I'm butchering this name, and I'm sorry. So we have Excalibur, Khan of Heaven. Whoa! Excalibur, Khan of Heaven, Hellenic Lee. What happened to my? What happened? E- Excalibur, Khan of Heaven, Hellenic Lee. Is that our new server? No. Is there a new server? We have Aurora's Ridge, Aegis Dawn, Lionforge Fjord, and Cicada's Clothing. I think the new server. I don't think there's new servers. So Aurora's Ridge. Wow, there's so many names for the new servers. I'm just freaking out right now about what's what. Warlords can fight in Australia. So we have 1, 2, and 3 Asia. Then we have Sandstone Gorge, which is MENA. Crystal Sea should be EU, and Eagle Range should be the Americas. Excalibur and Khan Heaven are definitely the Asia new ones. Hellenic Lee, I think it might be Asia. Aurora's Ridge and Asia's Dawn, I'm pretty sure though. Cicada is and Asia's Dawn are definitely related to the Americas and EU, but I'm not sure which one's which. Lion's Forge Fjord is new, I think, but I'm not sure for which server. So there's that. Anyway, War Outbreaks. It goes from 30th of September to 14th of October. Server location time. We have available units 4 stars and below. Equipment set attributes are effective. Additional attributes for equipment reforged does not take effect. Star ratings of units in the auxiliary unit pool 4 stars and below. Auxiliary unit point 6. Territorial War opens up for all of these servers for warlords can fight in the Borderlands. So that's the Lotus Ash Sea, Dragon Rise Island, Dragon Rock Creek, Sandstone Gorge, Crystal Sea, and the Eagle Range. So obviously any of the newer servers only can fight in 1 region. So we have Stage 3, Battle of Chaos, goes from 14th of October to 4th of November. Server location time. Available units is 5 stars and below. Uh, Equipment set attributes is effective. Additional attributes for equipment reforge effective. Star rating of the units in the auxiliary unit pool 5 star and below. Auxiliary unit point 6. Stage 4 Rise of Kings. So we have goes from 4th of November to 18th of November. 5 star and below. Effective for set bonuses and extra attributes are effective. Star ratings it goes from same as before basically. But we open up the territory wars, so Lotus Ash Sea, Dragon Rise Island, Jade Rock. I think I've been saying Jade Rock Creek wrong. Sandstorm Gorge, Crystal Sea, and Eagle Range, Angolia and Tulavaris can be scrambled for. Excalibur, Khan of Heaven, Hellenic Lee, um, Aurora Ridge, Aegis Dawn, Lion Forge Fjord, and Sicania. Angolia can be scrambled for. Stage 5, the Kings of Kings. So it goes from 18th of November to the 2nd of December. Server location. Available units 5 stars and below. equipment set attributes is effective. Additional attributes are effective. Uh, Auxiliary units is 5-star and below. Auxiliary unit points is 6. And it opens up Conqueror City for Lotus Ash Sea, Dragon Rise Island, Dragon Rock Creek, Sandstone Gorge, Crystal Sea, and Eagle Range. So it just so hilariously enough, it just stating again that Angolia is open for Excalibur, Khan of Heaven, Hellenic Lee, Aurora Ridge, Aegis Dawn, Lion's Forge Fjord, and Sicania. Seasons Challenge. Rita Pistolier completes 6 out of 8 quests of each stage. The challenge unlocks after the update on the 19th of 20 September 19th, 2024. First stage awards a 3-day trial. Second stage is unit itself. Third stage is unit exclusive rare doctrine, and the fourth stage is a cartoon avatar. Swine Feather. Complete 8 of the 10 stages of each of the stage. Challenge unlocks on the September 30th, so that's in 1.5 weeks. First stage is 3-day trial. Second stage is unit metal times 120. The unit itself is for the third stage, unit exclusive doctrine for the fourth stage, and the cartoon avatar for the fifth stage. Lion Wars crew complete 10 of the 12 quests of each stage. The challenge unlocks on October 14th at 12 UTC plus 8. I think this is supposed to be server time. It'll be server dependent, so the 2024. So first stage, 3 days trial. Second stage, a unit inclusive rare doctrine. I can't remember what that was. Wow, did I not look at it? I'm pretty sure I looked at it. Unit metal times 120. Because the only ones I remember, 8 seconds off cooldown for defensive shooting and 2 seconds the thing. I didn't look at that. I didn't look at the last one. I didn't look at the rare doctrine one. That's really surprising. Um, so 120 unit medals for stage 3. Unit itself for stage 4. Stage 5, Doctrine Spirit for the current season plus unit medal times 200. The sixth stage was a unit exclusive epic doctrine. The seventh stage was a cartoon avatar. Season runes, armor runes. So we have, my goodness, am I gonna have to read all through this? Season runes, armor runes. So we have helmets. Despair, renowned hero. Gain Oracle Mark upon dropping below 50%, granting 2% damage for 20 seconds. Can trigger one time every 35 seconds. Costs 3 energy. Victory, Blood of the Hero. Blood of a hero. Gain Oracle Mark upon killing an enemy hero, granting 2% damage for 20 seconds. Can trigger one time every 30 seconds. Costs 3 energy. Bravery, Unrivaled Hero. Gain Oracle Mark upon killing 3 enemy units, granting 2% damage for 20 seconds. Can trigger one every 30 seconds. Costs 3 energy. Solitude, Great Heroism. Gain Oracle Mark upon using a Paragon skill, granting 2% damage for 20 seconds. Can trigger one time every 50 seconds. Costs 3 energy. Terror Ward, increased toughness by 5 points every 1 second. So you got armor, warring, heroic agility, damage dealt during Oracle Mark is increased by 10%. However, its duration is reduced to 15 seconds, costs 3 energy. Militant Famed Hero, damage taken during Oracle Mark is reduced by 10%. However, its duration is reduced to 15 seconds, costs 3 energy. Final Heroic Oath, damage dealt during Oracle Mark is increased by 20%. However, damage taken is increased by 30% and its duration to 15 seconds. Okay, it says, however, damage taken is increased by 30% and its duration to 15 seconds. What it's meant to say, it's reduced to 15 seconds, but That's besides the point. It just says 2 15 seconds, so it only lasts 15 seconds from 20 seconds. Cost 3 energy. Conviction of. I'm not even going to try. Light and medium armor heroes. Heroes become invulnerable for 1 second upon taking lethal damage not caused by artillery. I'm not sure if that includes the Lion's Roar one. I haven't actually tested that one. And resets upon death. Heavy armor heroes, when Oracle's Mark gets triggered, the unit carried within 5 meters around the hero will recover 0.5% of their health per second for 10 seconds, costs 3 energy. Again, really pathetic 5% heal, and it costs 3 energy. Honestly, like if they were going to replace this with something, they should have made it actually worth it. Even 2% every 10 seconds would not even be strong enough. In the current thing, but I think 2% for every 10 seconds would be fine. But 5%, I mean 0.5%, that's garbage. Absolutely. Yeah. For the light and medium armor heroes, blah 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 blah, we will make some optimization in the version update on September 26th. Warlords can clearly know through the UI on the profession icon above the head of the enemy and friendly generals whether the what the heck? That's really funny. So it will tell you, so enemy or friendly generals, whether the conviction of race they have is active. That's funny. So you know exactly who has the rune and who doesn't. Warlords can clearly know through the UI on the profession icon above the head of the enemy and friendly generals whether they have equipped the conviction. Hmm, that is interesting. So I think that's in the tab. I think that's in the when you tab. So it brings up the scoreboard. Which is interesting because if they showed it on the battlefield, that'd be very important information, which means that a lot of people would just avoid those guys and go for the guys that don't have it. Cheat death, reduce damage taken from rear attacks and headshots by 15%, cost 2 energy. Olympian power, increase armor by 5 points, cost 1 energy. Braces, champion, heroes of heroes, critical value is increased by 200 during Oracle's Mark, costs 3 energy. Um, Rampart Lone Hero, critical damage value was increased by 300 during Oracle's Mark, costs 3 energy. Uh, Sanguinity, bleh, I probably butchered that word. Hero's Journey, normal attacks inflict bleed during Oracle's Mark. Bleed. Whoa, that's a new one. I did not see that. Um, Loses 100 points of health every second for 4 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. Or maybe I did see that. I just didn't think anyone used it. Thunderous Heroic Fury. Normal attacks during Oracle's Mark weakens enemies, reducing their defense by 20%, costs 3 energy. Call of Ares. Increase strength by 5 points, cost 1 energy. So that's an interesting one. The bleed one, I think, would be very strong on one's on rapid fire. Anything that can do rapid fire of basic attacks, normal attacks. So that's interesting. That's an interesting one. Actually, it probably did exist before, but I don't think anyone used it. So again, it is only 1200 bleed damage over 4 seconds. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's actually worth it. Take that back. Boots. Sacrifice Path of No Return. Oracles. Mark gains an extra 8% damage, but reduces defense by 20%. Costs 3 energy. Wanderer's Lust. Heroic Journey. Movement speed is increased by 20% during Oracle's Mark. Costs 3 energy. Immortal. Heroic Shield. Defenses are increased by 30 during Oracle's Mark. Costs 2 energy. Chiron's Curse. During the duration of the managed skill, movement speed is no longer reduced. Costs 2 energy. Olympian Agility, increase agility by 5 points, cost 1 energy. So for the poleaxe, we have Sideways Sweep can now be used 4th time, costs 3 energy. Nemesis, sorry, that's Minotaur's Axe, Nemesis Will, Damage dealt is increased by 14%, while below 50% health costs 3 energy. I think they increased that. Hercules' final battle, damage taken is reduced by 10%, while your Paragon skill is active, costs 2 energy. Glaive, Demigod Authority, Hail of Blades, and Flying Reapers grant immunity to all crowd control effect except for Choke, costs 3 energy. Divine Oppression, Flying Reaper no longer knocks heroes away, but instead stuns them for 4 seconds. I think this includes units as well, costs 3 energy. Titanic Physique, turn and attack grants immunity to all crowd control effect except for Choke, costs 2 energy. You're basically crowd control immune while you're on your horse anyway. Your turn and attack basically goes through even if you get hit by anything. I've been, maybe if you get stunned on the back of the horse, um, it probably won't work. But like I've been hit by knockbacks, I've been hit by knockdowns, and a lot of dazes. I've never seen turn and attack cancel. I would assume that if you get knocked off your horse, it will cancel regardless, but I don't even know what in scenario that choke would stop you because you can't choke someone that's on horseback. That is a very particular mechanic. Except for that time during Scorpio where Chain Dart just yank you off your horse, which was bullshit. So Maul, Typhon Demise. Gain an additional 10% defense during Maelstrom's third strike, 18% extra defense during the fourth strike, along with immunity or crowd control effect, except for choke. Remember, Maelstrom is a 5-stage attack, so and also I'm pretty sure all of these stack, so you'll have 28% defenses plus CC immunity on your fifth attack, which has double set of immunity, so hilarious. It used to be Daze immunity, but it didn't really matter for the fourth strike. I think Daze immunity only just covered the knockdowns, and I think the true immunity covers the throw. Titanic Shockwave. Earth Splitter effective area is increased by 25%. Costs 3 energy. Hermes Leap. Evade consumes 20% less stamina. Costs 2 energy. Again, I'm pretty sure Maul is the only class that have increased stamina regen, but if other classes have it, other classes have it. It's just that even on horseback, you cannot outrun a Maul because their stamina regens so fast if they time it correctly they can keep up with you on horseback because your stamina runs out really fast. Their stamina doesn't, so they're running more than you are sprinting on your horse. And obviously, a hero is faster than a galloping horse. Not a galloping horse, a cantering horse. If you're galloping, you're faster, but trying to run away from a mole, like trying to catch a mole as well, is very difficult in this scenario as well. So never underestimate the stamina of a mole because of that bullshit. Longsword and Shield. Jason's Golden Fleece. Using a Paragon skill makes you recover 0.5% health every 10 seconds. Every second for 10 seconds costs 3 energy. Again, absolute garbage of a skill. No one would ever use that. Your heal heals you more. Way, way, way more. Hippocratic Oath. Mercy of Heaven increases the defenses of nearby allies by 10% for 5 seconds. Really great. Really great. Costs 3 energy. Perfect Provisions. All damage is increased by 100 points while above 70 health. Costs 2 energy. Again, absolute trash. So Longsword and Shield again gets shafted in that it does nothing interesting. These two are particularly bad. And again, I'm just really sad that you have all of these really interesting runes, but you never give Longsword anything interesting. Spartan Resolve. Centurion's Battle Drill and Thunderstruck grants immunity to all crowd control effects except for choke, costs 3 energy. Centurion's Drill definitely needs a buff. Thunderstruck getting crowd control immunity just helps with not getting stopped. Hercules Greatness. Ironside increases defenses by another 20%, costs 3 energy. Again, it already increases your defenses by insane amounts. The fact that it needs to be increased by another 20% just tells you that units are dealing more damage than the armor is protecting you, which is really stupid because um, you can easily get to 2,500. Easily get to 2,500 armor on short sword, which means that you should dumpster every single unit's damage to minimum. The only things that would actually still deal damage to you are musket units with over 3,000 armor penetration. But even then, they are barely scratching you with probably 15 or 20% of their damage. That'd be that'd be basically like hitting you for 800 damage. So it is actually kind of ridiculous that even with the increase of defenses by another 20%, that you were still dying like super fast. Discus thrower. Throw shield slow effect is reduced to 20%. Cooldown is reduced to 3 seconds. Range is increased by 20%. Cost is 2 energy. So, again, really good skirmishing skill. Spear, Fearless Thrust. Each stack increases Luge Mark armor penetration by an extra 1%. Costs 3 energy. Great Horsemanship reduces stamina consumption of mounted right click by 20%. Costs 3 energy. Unified Charge. Mounted attacks deal 5% more damage. Again, really stupid that they decided to give Spear a buff to its most powerful tool in its arsenal, which is the mounted right click. Um, I think it's stupid that Spear's right click on horseback is so powerful. I've been hit. I've been hit recently with a spear that literally did 8,000 damage to me on horseback, and he did that 4 times. I died. I wasn't even able to do anything. I'm not sure whether or not he hit me in the back all the time, but it hurts. It hurts a lot. Pike, Achillean's Warfare. Each stack increases gentle step damage by an extra 3%. I'm not sure if this is not even working, but like some people were saying that this was not working the last time. So I'm wondering if it's working now or whether or not it started working at all. But an extra 3%, you can get, I'm pretty sure you can get 4 stacks of gentle step. Or it lasts 4 seconds. Maybe you can get 3 stacks. Anyway, I think you get like an extra 9% at the very least, probably 12 um, extra damage, which already grants you extra damage anyway. So I'm not sure how many spears actually, I'm not sure how many pikes, sorry, actually make use of gentle step. Whether or not people actually understands what gentle step is, but good pikes can keep this buff up. I've I've seen a couple that can keep that buff up, and they deal an insane amount of damage. It's just really tough because it's actually a high APM kind of class where you're trying to do as many actions as possible as quickly as possible. So you kind of want to learn all of the animation canceling techniques that there are. Not that there is too many. I think a lot of stuff is hard coded. Cronus Authority. Stormren's cooldown is reset upon killing an enemy hero. I hate Stormren. Stormren is the more preferred ultimate. I don't think they like the other one. Actually, Stormren. Green Dragon should be the one that uses it. Stormren should be the other one. Whoa! Okay, that's interesting. That's a bit weird. Um, Sylphid's Guardian. Damage taken during the first and second strikes of Wandering Dragon is reduced by 30 seconds. I mean, 30%. Costs 2 energy. Damage reduction. Damage taken during the first and second strike of Wandering Dragon is reduced by 30%. Okay, so during the animation, you have 30% damage reduction. Okay. Nodachi, Heroic Strike. Dragon Leap gains the damage and knockback effect of having charged up for 2 seconds without need of charge up. Also refreshes the cooldown of all non-paragon skills. Grants Heroic Blessing upon hitting an enemy with the skill. Each stat granting 2% damage and 1.5% health steal for 6 seconds, stacking up to 15 times. 3 stacks are lost when duration ends, costs 3 energy. Again, the Heroic Blessing, at this point, it should just be a passive. They should just replace. They should just replace. I mean, they can't replace the um, blood craze thing or mechanic, but may as well just like shove this in. It's so strong. It's so strong, this heroic blessing, that it actually dwarfs whatever the initial skill is. But honestly, like, if you're playing Nodachi without heroic strike, what are you doing? Heroic strike is so powerful that, like, it's so strong. I don't even understand if how anyone could say that they would not run this on Nodachi. And again, another season of Nodachi being very strong. It's not like crazy strong because there's definitely enough damage going around where Nodachi would just get insta wiped. But definitely, if you're definitely against certain units, Nodachi at this point thrives in low damage environments. So if you're using a shield unit in particular, an Odachi will just jump your unit straight away because it's a non-threat to him. Not to mention he'll deal enough damage to heal up to max with a single hit. And you got Ares Sacrifice, Blood Craze increases critical value by 120% plus 1,000, costs 3 energy. Macedonian costume. Damage taken during Blood Craze is reduced by 15%, but any damage mitigated this way is instead dealt to you over 10 seconds, costs 2 energy. Someone said that the calculations for this doesn't make sense. I'm going to say that it doesn't really matter. What really matters is whether or not it actually protects you for 15. If it protects you at all, that's just it's a good doctrine. I mean, it's a good rune. Musket, Oceanic Wildfire, Gunpowder Grenade, and Liquid Fire have their area of effect increased by 15%. Again, um, it said throwing range before, but if it's area effect by 15%, whatever. I don't like this because Black Powder Grenade is one of the lowest cooldown one, but I think it's third now after Pike and no, after Chain Dart and Pike, then Pike. So it's third with the 40-second cooldown. Liquid Fire, again, makes makes their control field much larger with low cooldown area effect range abilities, so sure. Poseidon's Tide, 5-round rapid now fires grape shots. 5-round rapid now also grants 120% plus 2,000 critical value for 10 seconds. Costs 3 energy. Sense weakness attacks against weakened enemies deal 20% more damage. Costs 2 energy. Bow, Apollo's marksmanship. Lightning Bolt now renders enemy heroes concussed for 2 seconds. I think this also affects units. Not entirely sure. But really good control skill now. Not Don't have to use it for a finisher, but yeah, I think this is just it's really good buff for Lightning Bolt. Whether or not they should just add it by default is just another question, because I think with the increase of health for most of the standard units. But then again, I hate getting hit by explosive arrow, so I'm not sure whether or not I would ever buff it. I don't think it can be buffed, or I don't think it should be buffed, to say the very least. Hydra's Fang. When normal attacks hit the enemy, a stack of laceration will be added. When 3 stacks of lacerations are accumulated, the enemy will take damage equal to 3% of current health plus 300 points every second. Last 3 seconds laceration reduces movement speed by 5%. I think I think this one should be switched with the second one. Realistically, just have their basic attack just get more damage, and again, increased damage to ranged units is really stupid. It should just be increased damage to units in general. I know they're trying to make bow hyper focus on its anti-range capabilities, but honestly, it's not struggling in its anti-range capability because it's already the best hero to face off against ranged units. Well, that and musket. But musket is for bullshit reasons because black powder grenade will one shot any ranged unit. I don't think there's any ranged unit that will survive a musket powder bomb. I've seen musket powder bomb just one shot a terrestrial unit. But yeah, Hippolyte demise. I I probably said that wrong. Increases damage to ranged unit by 15 seconds, costs 2 energy. So shortbow, Artemis precision. Marks explode with normal attacks deal 10% more damage. Whoa, marks exploded with normal attacks deal 10% more damage. Costs 3 energy. Hunt of Hercules. Wrath of Artemis and Angry Hornet can mark enemies. The mark will be detonated by normal attack. Costs 3 energy. So again, this adds a mark system for the ultimates. Animus of Cronus triggering the effect will reduce the enemy movement speed by 10% for 1 second. Costs 2 energy. Again, this even for 2 energy, 10% movement speed is nothing. What you should increase this to at least 30. I think this at least 30 for a duration of 1 second. It it's honestly 10% is not anything, and maybe I'm overblowing this, but when it says triggering the effect, I'm assuming the mark effect. So maybe short bows can tell me that the 10% is actually enough. I honestly don't think so. Because you can probably trigger a mark every 4 seconds. Your basic days on your abilities probably are more effective than this 10% movement speed reduction. Jewel Blaze. Celine's warding increases ambush damage by 30%. This returning great ambush is back in the meta. I've been seeing a lot of Jewel Blades getting those double ambush attacks out. Um, they are still using the shuriken, the bow shurikens, but that's not inconsequential. Cerberus's Chase, killing a hero increases your slashing damage by 4%, stacking up to 5 times. The stack is zeroed on your death, costs 3 energy. Troy's Tragedy increases damage dealt to units by 15%, costs 2 energy. Chain Dart and Scimitar, each Achilles Sorrow, each stinging strike that hits reduces the cooldown of Scorpion's Snare by 1 second. Costs 3 energy. Again, it says each hit, so that just makes no sense since we've seen that if Stinging Strike hits anything at all, it's only one. But if it hits everything, if it hits if it hits multiple things, it's still one. Or it's calculated as one, so yeah, that's very confusing. Thanos' Fetter. Trap Prey now renders enemy concussed for 2 seconds, costs 3 energy. Hephaestus Blade increases damage dealt to enemies with more than 600 slashing defense by 10%. Costs 2 energy. Yeah, this is really stupid is because it tries to avoid having light armored heroes just being very vulnerable to Chain Dart and Scimitar. They're still very vulnerable. I honestly don't believe that Jewel Blade can effectively fight Chain Dart. Chain Dart will just win more often than not. And obviously, the short bow and the longbow both get completely shafted by the chain dart and scimitar. So, yeah, making it effective at only. I think even most medium armor will go over 600. So, medium armor gets shafted. Every single heavy armor gets shafted. So, this is just basically a 10% damage increase, which is silly because this is stronger than damage to units and damage to ranged units for the bow because of its because of it just generally applies to everything. Season reputation. Alexander fame will be cleared, and the Lionfire fame of Lionfire season will be available. The reward of the fame store are as follows. Okay, so you have artificial stone at purchase 10 require sorry, artificial stone at 0, 10 battle hero XP card at 5 you can get 3. God damn it, man. there's the list. You can read it yourself. If you, I'm just going to pause on it just for a second so that you can read it. Everything. It's basically the same as before. I don't think there's any differences, and there haven't been any changes. Oh, this is nice. I like how all of these are broken. Just do a quick refresh. There we go. Alrighty. Rank battle adjustment. The limited time titles issued each week based on the settlement time ranked and ranking needs to reach the legendary commander rank to obtain. Um, I believe it's what we refer to as martial. Now they've changed the localization, so it's going to take me a while to get used to it. I am going to hate some of the name changes, but bear with me. Those are just my gripes. System optimization. The supply tokens can be used to exchange for gold dust. Each exchange consumes 2 supply tokens to obtain 10 gold dust, which can be exchanged twice a week. Okay, gold dust is being added. The character level required for opening the family system is lowered to 12. Family system, I believe that means the house system. Not entirely sure. UI, so it's just a UI thing. We will gradually upgrade the style and interaction of UI from this season. The new UI will be more modern and concise. We will upgrade and optimize the interaction of some complex systems. They've been doing that over the last season as well. So you have the reinforce button being added. Tab system probably looks a bit cleaner. Haven't any notice for change for this one. Banners look a little bit different. Again, the tabs look a bit cleaner. Weakening the item grade color in the hero, unit, and camp interface, removing some complex shades, and reducing the saturation of overly eye-catching color blocks, leaving the focus to the hero and the units themselves, making the UI more modern. Again, it makes a better contrast. Dark backgrounds or light backgrounds are very difficult, so color grading into the black, very nice to make something that's colorful stick out. And again, it makes the blue stick out like crazy. Saintly Mace Sergeants. Full screen motion graphics designed for unlocking and building corps in more is more in line with design notions of modern games. Oh, okay. So this unlock succeeded. So this doesn't matter. You see it once, you'll never see it again. Um, the grade color of items in inventory has been weakened, and the icon style of each tab has been simplified. Um, Great. Again, not necessary. Again, complex items. Simplifying it too much loses style unless you simplify everything. So as you can see, the simplified ones against contrasting against the more complex icons in the background, I mean on the tab section, it's actually kind of sad because you still have this really cool bag icon, but now it's simplified so much it loses its characteristics. Um, I think they need to reverse on some of these changes. You don't need to simplify these icons because these icons already are very simplified. They're not hyper detailed, but if you remove more, you're prone to changing the entire the dynamic of the UI. So that is one thing that I want to stress. I want them to change back these icons because it is simply um, removing the charm of the game at this point. Oh yeah, and I love the new thing. It removes the color gradient, lets you get to see the whole map. But I'm wondering whether or not the picture in the background sometimes doesn't load, so that's really irritating. Amplify the map in the battle preparation interface, simplify the more complex icons, arrange the layout more reasonably, integrate player information, and add a function of contraction, making the entire interface more concise and cleaner. Again, very true. It looks so much cleaner with the transparency, and for sure, it presents more it presents more information and more detail without cluttering or without obscuring anything, so which is great. Whoa, I did not check the tab interface. The tab interface in game will have a unified level color and simplified icon design. The map edges will be transparent. Oh, that's really cool. So anything beyond the limitation of the map is made to be transparent. So you can only travel up to a certain area, which is more, which is less, well, which you can see very, which you can see, which is really cool. And obviously they removed the color gradient for your team and the enemy team, which is again very great. That's a really cool change for the tab one. Um, Two, function. Added a one-click equipment replenishment function button on the camp homepage and added an item filter for equipment replenishment. Optimize the continuity of UI animation for longbow basic attack charging. I'm wondering whether or not they reverse that, but we'll see. Bug repair. Fix an issue where the background of limited time titles display abnormally in ranked battles. Fix the abnormal ragdoll physics of unit bodies. Fix the issue where the sunward phalanx's damage increase gained from the growth node and the reduction of damage from enemy heroes under bracing do not take effect. That is funny and interesting. I'm not sure what particular nodes they're referring to, but this could be a massive buff for Sunward's Phalanx. We already know that heroes are particularly effective against the Sunward's Phalanx if that makes them harder to kill, because statistically, I didn't realize this until just recently, but statistically, each of the Sunward's Phalanx models are actually almost as tanky as the Fortebraccio Pikeman, and the tankiness is actually is within a margin of like a few percent. It is actually not large. The having more models as well makes them way tankier than the Fortebraccio as a whole, which is actually something that I glossed over, and I actually kept saying that the Fortebraccio pikemen are probably tankier. They're not. They're actually not. Sunward's Phalanx's durability has been increased so much that Fortebraccio pikemen are probably way superseded in too many different areas that you'd probably never bring Fortebraccio pikemen if you can bring Sunward's Phalanx. But I have I do think that like just as a pure bracing unit, um, for damage, I would bring the Fortebraccio Pikeman. Unfortunately, the Sun Embrace is just too powerful, and the Sunward's Phalanx having that by default just makes it too good. If we add in Doctrines, the Sunward's Phalanx's damage increases way too much for it to disregard. But besides that, um, yeah, this could be really good for Sunward's Phalanx. Could be the damage buff people has been no people like me have been crying for. I think its bracing damage is still garbage, so whether or not that gets fixed is another question. Heroes being unable to smash it into pieces is going to be really annoying, but regardless, I don't think the tankiness needs to be increased. I think the damage needs to be increased. The tankiness is already getting to a unsustainable level, and what I mean by that is there's so many aspects of the unit where if you increase its durability, it will get to a stage where um, it's more of a tank unit than a damage unit. But that's how I see it. That's how I see it. And I do think that the Sunwest Valet should remain quite easy to kill, but it has things that makes it competitive even in a medieval battlefield, which in retrospect, the Sunwest Phalanx would get decimated by like a group of heavily armored guys, which in this game it doesn't. Um, Fix the issue where the data in the data uh, Fix the issue where the data in the database of the highest ranking score was refreshed when the player was not online when settling. Whoa, what? Fix the issue where the data in the database of the highest ranking score was refreshed when the player was not online when settling the ranking score. Oh my god, that's a massive bug. I'm pretty sure whoever was top rank must have complained because they went online and probably didn't receive their proper ranking score, which is hilarious that a bug like this even exists. But at the same time, I feel upset for that guy. I hope things are fixed for you, but yeah, only people with the highest ranking score would ever have suffered a bug like that. Fix an issue where the statistics weekly quests related to battlefield contribution points were incorrect. Fix the issue of linking titles in ranked battles. Optimize the display of server list. Optimize the display of battle preparation interface. Optimize the display of the unit interface in the supply point. Optimize the display of the unit creation and unlocking interface. Add a button to replenish unit equipments on the home page of the unit interface and add a filter option for armor replenishing. Season map. A new season map based on a fortress will be added in the middle of the season. Stay tuned. Oh man. I know this is a really long update and I went through basically everything in this update and I know this will come out late. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed and are excited for the new season. Although I'm one thing that I want to stress as well, and this will only affect those on the APAC side, is that there will be massive changes to the English localization, and I am upset that they have taken this route. They have basically thrown away basically all of the APAC's localizations, meaning that we have now officially lost everything from the APAC version and have it now been changed over to a modified America's or My Game's description. A lot of historical things which have been lost um, will now again. There's a lot of things that have been changed. One of the things I want to stress is I want to find out if they've changed the name of the tier 3 from the snowstorm season, Wrath of Tyranny. I mean, sorry, not Wrath of Tyranny. The snowstorm season, Scourge of Winter. It used to be called Alt Halberdiers, but on my games is called the Landsnakes. Unlike the Assaps and the Silidars, which are actually historical names, the Landsnakes are a very, very iconic name for a mercenary units, especially during this period of time, just before this period of time, actually. Um, that is the one thing that out of everything I am most upset about. If that went through, I might, I might, yeah. I've said this before, but I might just quit the game over this. Because if something like that doesn't get picked up, or at least concerned about, that means they pretty much don't care about your localization. They don't care about using things or historical things with no regard to its value in history. And I'm not like super into the historical accuracy of things. I like inspiration. I definitely do think that you have to respect the inspiration. I don't want them to just use the name just because it sounds fancy, just because it is a name for something. It's contextually irrelevant if you create your own game world. But a lot of Conqueror's Blade is like an ahistorical fantasy of a world that just not even that completely different from reality. I just think I want hope that a launch next season will come, even if it never comes. But yeah, that's the last thing of my gripes. I am upset about the English localization changing, but I'll get used to it, hopefully. I'll still call certain things my old by their old names, whether or not people understand me or not. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's been an hour and a half, but other than that, my name's Azukai. Have a nice day. Bye!